My husband's executive assistant looked me up and down at the office holiday party and said, "No wonder he works late so often, avoiding going home." I smiled sweetly and asked her one simple question very quietly. Her confident expression cracked immediately like glass, and she avoided me the entire rest of the night, hiding in corners and leaving early without saying goodbye. I smiled at Vanessa. Not a big smile, just enough to show teeth, the kind of smile that could mean anything. "That's funny," I said, keeping my voice pleasant. "I was just thinking about how much Daniel must trust you." She blinked, her champagne glass pausing halfway to her lips. "What?" "With all those late nights, all that access." I took a step closer, still smiling. The other wives were pretending to look at their phones now, but I could feel them listening. "It must be nice," I continued softly, "having someone believe in you so completely, even after mistakes." Vanessa's face did something complicated. The confident smirk flickered. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, but her voice had changed, less champagne bold, more uncertain. I leaned in close enough that only she could hear me, close enough to smell her expensive perfume and the wine on her breath. "Does Daniel know about October 14th? I asked quietly, "because I'm wondering if the senior partners know that you've been accessing their confidential settlement files from his computer after hours." The color drained from her face like someone pulled a plug. Her champagne glass actually trembled in her hand. "I haven't," she started, but I just kept smiling. "Have a wonderful evening, Vanessa," I said at full volume again. Then I walked away, heading toward the bar like I'd just commented on the weather. My hands were shaking when I ordered a gin and tonic. I'd been planning that moment for 3 days, ever since Lena sent me the full report. But planning something and actually doing it are very different things. I could feel Vanessa staring at my back. I didn't turn around. The bartender handed me my drink, and I took a long sip, trying to look casual, trying to look like a woman who hadn't just detonated a bomb in the middle of her husband's office Christmas party. It started 6 months ago. That's when I first noticed Daniel's pattern changing. We'd been married for 9 years, together for 12. I knew his rhythms the way you know your own house in the dark, where the furniture is, which floorboards creak. He was a corporate attorney at Harrington & Co., one of those mid-sized firms that does well enough everyone drives nice cars, but not so well they make the news. He worked hard. He always had. Late nights were normal. But 6 months ago, the late nights changed flavor. Before, he'd come home tired and distant, smelling like coffee and printer toner. He'd heat up whatever I'd left him, eat standing at the kitchen counter, maybe tell me about a deposition or a difficult client, then shower and fall asleep within minutes. Now he came home tired but wired. He'd shower immediately. He'd pick at his food. He'd be on his phone constantly, texting with an expression I couldn't read. And he started working late on Wednesdays, which he'd never done before, because Wednesday was when the partners played golf and the office was quiet. I'm not stupid. I know what those signs usually mean. So I did what you're supposed to do. I checked the credit cards. I found hotel charges from the downtown Marriott, 3 of them, all on Wednesday afternoons over 6 weeks. The charges stopped after that, but by then I'd already started investigating. I hired Lena on a Tuesday morning in October, sitting in her small office above a bail bondsman in a strip mall 40 minutes from my house. She looked exactly the same as she had in college, just better dressed, with reading glasses. "You think he's cheating?" Lena asked. "It isn't a question," I said. "I think something's wrong. I just don't know what." She nodded, making notes on a yellow legal pad. "What's her name?" "The assistant. Vanessa Moore. She's been with the firm 3 years. She's technically his assistant, but she does paralegal work too. I hesitated. "She's very good at her job." "They usually are," Lena said. "Not cruel, just factual. I'll need 2 weeks, maybe 3. Surveillance, background. We'll see what shakes out." What shook out was strange. Lena called me on a Wednesday afternoon, 2.5 weeks in. I was at Target staring at throw pillows, trying to remember why I was there. "Your husband isn't having an affair," she said without preamble. At least not a physical one. She'd followed him to 4 late-night meetings, 3 times at the office with Vanessa, once at a coffee shop. No touching, no hotel rooms, just intense conversations. But here's what's interesting, Lena continued. Vanessa Moore had a DUI arrest on October 14th, hit a parked car leaving a bar. Blood alcohol was 0.12. "Should have been open and shut," she said, but the charges disappeared. Not dropped, disappeared. Records sealed within 72 hours. That takes serious legal muscle. I stood frozen in the Target aisle. "Why would the firm cover it up?" I asked. "That's the question," Lena said, "because she also has access she shouldn't. Client files, settlement drafts, partner communications. Your husband shares his password. Is she accessing them?" "I can't prove it," Lena said, "but she's there after hours. And there have been whispers, billing irregularities, fabricated hours, the kind of thing that could end a career." The hotel charges weren't affairs. They were fake travel expenses. Daniel was billing for trips that never happened. That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, I watched, waited. Daniel didn't know I knew. We hadn't had sex in 2 months. When I tried to talk, he said I needed to be more understanding. I decided if I was going to act, I'd do it right. The holiday party was perfect, public enough to keep things civil, private enough that the right people would notice. And then Vanessa handed me the moment by insulting me in front of witnesses. Dinner was seated. Daniel noticed immediately. "What did you say to Vanessa?" he asked. "I complimented her," I said. "Why?" "She looks upset." "Does she?" His hand tightened on my elbow. At the table were Richard Harrington, the firm's name partner, and his wife, Elaine. When Richard praised Daniel's billables, I smiled and said, "He works late." "Lucky man," Richard said, "having a wife who understands." Across the room, Vanessa wasn't eating. Then she stood up and left. Daniel followed. I waited 30 seconds, then followed too. I stopped just before the corner. "She knows something," Vanessa whispered. "She mentioned October." "That was sealed," Daniel said. "She mentioned the files." Long silence. "Yes," Vanessa said. "I accessed them. I needed to know how bad it was." "This is fraud," Daniel said. "I helped you," she cried. "I'm tied to this." I stepped around the corner. "Hi," I said pleasantly. "They're about to do the raffle." Vanessa fled. Daniel stayed. "What do you know?" he asked. "Everything," I said calmly. Then I told him exactly what would happen next. 2 days later, Vanessa Moore resigned. Friendly departure. Good reference. Daniel started coming home at 6. 3 weeks later, he confessed to the firm. Probation, delayed partnership, job intact. Some secrets stayed buried. The marriage may not survive, but honesty finally showed up. Lena called in January. "You played it perfectly," she said. "I just asked a question," I replied, because the right question at the right time is power, and I wasn't small anymore.